Hi, I'm Brian Baker. I'm in Bad Religion right now, and I've been in other bands too. And ostensibly, I'm going to give a lesson of some sort by the miracle of the internet. Is that correct? Where are my people? Am I giving a lesson? First lesson about playing guitar is the Gibson Les Paul standard. This is the most important thing to my guitar playing. However, you'll notice mine has the logo taped over it because they don't give me them for free, and I'm not going to shill for anybody. Most misunderstood thing in playing fast music is the bar chord, which everybody, it's the foundation of so much stuff, excluding those people who tune the strings down for some reason, which I'm not really sure about. One trick that I learned about 15 years ago, dating myself, is that you only need to play 3 strings when you play a bar chord fast when you have a distorted amp. Here I have a really, really poor example of a Boogie Mark II that is rented, and it sounds like crap. But when you're trying to play fast Bad Religion stuff, if you're trying to mire yourself in being exactly correct with the chording, you wind up going like, and it doesn't sound nearly as good as, because those extra strings are fighting against the wound strings. So always play with 3 strings on a bar chord for this type of music, and you'll be the hero. As you see, sometimes I break down to 2 strings because there's 2 guitars in the band. I mean, someone's going to pick up the slack. That was a main thing for me. The only other trick I can think of that's germane to Bad Religion kind of guitar playing, or Dag Nasty or whatever, is lots of open strings. You hear a lot of this lately. I guess this is the emotional sound that someone coined. But I love nothing more than having ringing strings while I'm moving chords around. For example, just gets huge. So don't be afraid to let the little strings ring. It will add depth. Everyone will think you're Billy Corgan. Or Uncle Fester, really, depending on your definition of Billy's. Well, everyone plays them differently, but I mean, in the first position, well, you're encouraged to play all 6 strings, which is why I was railing against that, because you lose these 3 strings, you never hear them, and also it's harder to play in tune that way because there's this little 7th thing going, or whatever it's called. I don't do the math part of guitar. And then when you do, there are tons of different ways. It's just, my thing has always been to do the 3 strings, get to the meat of the issue, you can control it easier. And some people will think that's wimping out, but I submit to them it is not. It's sonics. I started playing guitar when I was 8, and I'm 35, and I'm not a math major, so someone else can, get that sum. And I had lessons for about the first year. I mean, I was definitely 10 by the time I knew I was done with lessons by then. And I only knew 1 scale, and I still only know 1 scale because it's not really it's just the exercise of that has never really helped me. It's always been about finding notes rather than repeating ones that you've been told to repeat. But the minor pentatonic that everybody knows is basically the root of everything, and you slide it back, 3 frets and you're in major. It's all you really need. I mean, this is punk rock, for God's sakes. There's not too much to it.
What about soloing? Did you ever feel like the repressed urge to, engage in some wankery or
Oh, there's wankery all over Bad Religion records. It's amazing I'm getting away with it. But I mean, basically, the older I get, the more my solos basically echo the vocal melody line and then go somewhere else, which is a great trick, too, because you can't really go wrong with a vocal melody. But gymnastics, just for the sake of doing it, I think are a little bit silly. I mean, live I'll screw around and do something embarrassing just because it's funny to make the bass player laugh. But recording, I mean, at least in a Bad Religion sense, a solo really, we look at it as a break in the vocals. And it's really more of a songwriting tool than to show off what the guitar player can do, because, there's thousands of people who play guitar better than I do. However, none of them are in Bad Religion. And it's really used as a tool more than a showcase. It's not really about solos, but another thing I like to do, which is touches on my thing where I like to ring strings whenever I've got room for it, is this repeating thing. Having something repeat, I don't really know what stylistically this is called, but a lot of this, if anyone's familiar with Dag Nasty, a lot of songs did these sort of repeating, ringing things with a finger walking on a bass line. Like... That is always fun to do because that was a one guitar band. I'm trying to fill up a lot of space, and a lot of things I came up with were based on that theory, and it's really fun to play with. I mean, you can really... You can do it all night and everything sounds good, you know. You might be in danger of hitting Goo Goo Dolls territory, but that's a risk I'm willing to take.
Now, you mentioned that you also play mandolin and banjo, and that technique right there, I mean, that had a very, well, because banjos have that droning thing going on. Was that helpful to you? I mean, does it help in your guitar playing too? Picked up other...
You know, it's tough. Banjo and mandolin is a mini guitar. I even cheat and tune it the wrong way. I just want it for, like, recording. Banjo's hard because all the left-hand knowledge I have is helpful, but banjo's all about the right hand. And I can fake finger pick, but basically I play with a pick, and that's the hardest thing for me, is I'm learning claw hammer, and there's a lot of intricacies that I've yet to master, so you won't see me in the caves anytime soon. It's just hard to do. Banjo's tough. Looks easy, hard.
Before you go on stage, I mean, I assume it's kind of like an athlete wouldn't go out on the field without doing a proper warm-up, or...
In the last year or two, I've started having a guitar backstage just to screw around with. Mostly, I don't really warm up, but we change our set every night, and we've got about 200 songs to choose from now over 15 albums. And it's very common, maybe every other show, someone says, hey, let's play this old song from 1981. Well, I wasn't in the band in 1981, so what I do is learn the song while I'm sitting backstage 10 minutes before I go on, or remember pieces of it. I mean, that's really, it winds up being a warm-up because I'm physically playing a guitar, but it's just to try to remember a part of a song that I haven't played in 4 or 5 years. So there's really not a regimen, but this is not exactly rocket science, Bad Religion. It's really fun to play, but it's really not that demanding, in a musician's sense, because it's a vocally based kind of, let's just say the meat of Bad Religion is in the message, and it just doesn't require the type of guitar, as I said before, gymnastics that a lot of bands do. So I have an easy job.
It's more a endurance kind of thing.
Absolutely, and there is a certain, stylistic thing. I mean, it is hard to, I guess it's hard for an uninitiated person to pick up a guitar and immediately play this kind of music, but when you've been doing it for 20 years, it's just second nature. So it's very easy to, what looks hard is not.
What have been more challenging songs in the repertoire, or is everything pretty equal?
The hardest ones are ones, because we tend to speed up on stage, which everyone really does. Getting your eighth notes down on certain songs is tough, because you find a song that's recorded at this speed. Live, you're going... And that gets tiring. I mean, I have to... Midway through a tour, I have much more stamina, but like when I first come on a tour, my right hand isn't up to speed. So that's one thing that's really difficult. And because it has to be done right or it doesn't sound good. You have to be locked in, and it's really contingent on what our drummer's doing and how much caffeine he's had. So that's really the one thing that's difficult. But otherwise, everything else is complete cake. Just no problem. Do it in your sleep.
So how do you divide up guitar duty, though? I mean, is it pretty much exactly fair and square? Or?
No, it's not fair and square at all. Basically, records that predate my joining the band, I play the solo that would have been Brett's solo, and Hetson plays the solos that would be Hetson's. Since I joined the band, I've wound up doing about 80% of all the solos anyway. So I basically just do the ones I did on the record, and Greg will do whatever he did on the record. Sometimes, just to break the monotony, we'll swap them, like just with an eye signal on stage, when, especially their songs that have 2 solos in them, which, you know, is very bad religion. We'll just do that little hand signal, which means we're swapping, you know. We think it's exciting. Fool the sound man, you know, fool the lighting guy. But it's really pretty much a democracy. I mean, Greg could play all the solos on a record if he showed up and played them. I just happen to always be sitting there at the right time, so it works out that way, you know. Once again, highlighting how unimportant guitar solos really are. Well, it really helps me because I have to sing a lot. Because 3 of us sing, and we're relatively complex backing vocals, and having Hetson hold down the bottom makes it a lot easier for me because there's a lot of intricate vocal things, and my brain still doesn't work where I can completely disassociate my playing with my vocal. And so there's certain things where I have to, while Hetson's going, just because I can't get the word, the cadence right, and that's always helpful. But there's really no more exploration necessary for rhythm playing in this. I mean, it's either you have it or you don't. It's actually a very specific style, and both Greg and I have it because we've been doing it for 20 years. I mean, experience is really, for this kind of music, is really, really valuable.
What do you do when you're not? I mean, when there's downtime, do you have music that you like to play when you're not doing the Bad Religion thing?
Yeah, I play. You know, as I said, I'm on the banjo tip. I have a couple of. I just actually got a couple of acoustic guitars I like for once, and I play a lot of bluegrass and you know, mid-20th century country music. I'm really fascinated by. Unfortunately, I live in an apartment downtown in Washington, and I moved out of a house to go to this apartment, and so my drum set and amplifiers and most of my guitars are actually at my friend's house in Virginia because he has a house. So. On the downside, I don't really have a lot of stuff at home, but on the upside, I go there maybe once every 2 weeks, and we get some guys together and just, you know, play a little Wildwood Flower, something like this one's called Wildwood Flower. It's from my buddy Wally. You know, just the ring. We usually are in tune though. Hick stuff. It's fun. It's Virginia. What do you want? You know.
You mentioned also that you play drums. I'm just curious. Does that help with your rhythm playing on guitar? Does it make any difference at all? Do you hear things differently?
Not really. I don't think because I mean I've been an amateur drummer for a long time. I think it's just it can't hurt. But one of the things I was blessed with always is having pretty good meter. I just came out of the box like that. So the drumming is really more, it's just because it's really fun to sit down and hit something. And now that I've been playing long enough where I could play in a band provided the set was less than 30 minutes. I mean, my problem now is stamina because, you know, I'm not really exactly in the best physical condition during the off season. But no, it's just another musical thing. And maybe it helps a little with songwriting because I can envision you know, I can better program my drum machine if I actually know how drums are played, so that there's not too many things going on at the same time. The octopus syndrome that a lot of people fall into.
Have you ever used all tunings? Do you ever?
I hate this one. I hate that. It's just like, so you can just play guitar with one finger. Just stupid. And it also makes the guitar register too low, and I'm not a big fan of that. You know, sorry, Korn fans, but all that's crap anyway. The one I like is the Keith. That's Keith Richards. I don't know the age group I'm dealing with here, but it's fun to get all of that, like, you know, Exile on Main Street, Black Crowsy thing, and also you can do ZZ Top with it. But it's fun because anything sounds good. everything sounds good in G. You just hit the strings and it's good. So I don't know. I like happier tunings more than methamphetamine-based tuning. Just really not my thing.